It's the Archivist, y'all. Exclusively interviewing Scoe.
Yes, sir.
And who is the legendary Scoe?
Scoe is the artist formerly known as Roscoe. Before that, known as Young Roscoe, a.k.a. Roscoe DeSoto, the Philly Fanatic, YA General, Dog Pound Youngster, ghostwriter for a lot of your favorite rappers, and a serious artist and business person.
And let's get into it. Before you were 14, you were writing and got a publishing deal then. Speak on the entry into the game, the young buck tearing it up.
The publishing deal didn't happen until I was about 15.
All right.
Actually. About 14, 15. You were about right, you know what I'm saying? But I was actually published around 13. Philadelphia Inquirer is a big Philadelphia newspaper back then when I was growing up. And, my first published thing wasn't even music, it was just a poem in the newspaper. That's what I used to do. I was poet of the month. I used to write poetry. I was a big Tupac fan back then, and not just Tupac though, I was like a Black Panther fan. I used to chill with Bobby Seale with my daddy, and Bobby Seale is like one of the actual founders of the Black Panthers. Now, he's from Philadelphia. So I would go, Huey was from Oakland. And I would go and I would chill with Bobby Seale and have breakfast and talk to him just about what the Black Panthers meant to him. Also, my father is a Baptist minister, so I grew up in the church a lot. So we do a lot of reading at church out of the Bible and a lot of memorizing. You got to memorize songs. When you're in the choir, you got to memorize lines for plays. So I think my first introduction into actual showmanship came from just being at church and watching the way that the operation was ran. Because it's just the same thing as a show, kind of. Not to say that church is a show, but the way that they deliver it, the way it's set up is organized that way. Somebody stands up and speaks and this and that. Same way like when Barack Obama. So that's where I got my first introduction into that, you know what I'm saying? And from there, I started a publishing company because I started rapping with my brother, and I needed to be able to have a publishing company for get my checks off of the albums. The first album I was on was Corruption. So in order for me to ever even get paid off of that, that's when we created, I don't even think we did it. Yeah, I think we did do it for Corruption. That's when we did it. That's when we created my publishing company because I had to get compensated for that record.
And a bit of the past, the first record, California in '02, speak on what it did, and for the youngin' coming up, Young Assassins.
It's funny. What it did for me was it introduced the world to Roscoe and taught me a lot of etiquette and how to be. I don't know if I understood it all at the time, but it definitely set in over time. It taught me how to be an artist, taught me how to handle such important things as far as dealing with, major artists, major studios, major labels, and this and that. It was like school for me to be on all those situations, you know what I'm saying? It just kind of shaped and molded me to be ready to do things on my own.
And then from the following, coming up from Philly, you and your brother, 11 years apart and born on the same day. Yeah. Challenges that you had from the East to the West is the best choice.
The West, it wasn't a choice. It was more of a destiny, a path. Where I was. You grow up and your dad is a cop, and you might end up being a cop. You might end up going into the military. Depending on who your brother is, if your brother might be a basketball player, your father might be a businessman, you got a choice. I could be an athlete or a businessman. I know that's in my blood. Or I could do something else, sell oranges, whatever I want to do. So with me, it was more just what path to choose out of the paths that I have. So it wasn't really a choice for me. It was more like, it actually chose me. It was destiny.
And on to the smashing hits from I Call Shots, Girls All Pause, to name a few, appearing on the classic Streets Is a Mother. Speak on some of your best times in the studio and music videos. Period.
Wow, just when everybody was around, that was the best time. When everybody was around and available to be together. There was a time when I would go to the studio and just be wall to wall, homies working, you know what I mean? Exhibit be in one room, Daz in one room, Superfly in one room, da da da, like that. And to me, those was the best times, other than just being able to work with my brother. You know, that was the most important thing to me, being able to work with my brother.
And I Love Cali selling more than 900,000. We hear West elaborate on the project and what it really did for young Roscoe.
Yeah, man, that's why Capitol ain't got me in handcuffs right now, man. I paid my dues and got up out of there, you know? We broke even. Capitol was a great situation for me. I wish we could actually stay. I wanted to stay there. But it was time for me to go. That's just the way it was, you know? The record did really good. I feel like they had a way that they wanted to go, a direction. And my life, whether I wanted to go in that direction or not, my life wasn't going to allow me. You got to learn how to accept what God allows. And God allowed us to continue doing what we was doing without Capitol Records, and that's not a shot at them. It's anything. It's more of a, and I'm just admitting that I'm thankful that, you know, I was able to survive without having to be. Most people that get on a major label, they get off the label and they turn into some crackhead smoker, tweaker, or something like that. It's for me to get off of the label and be able to keep doing music and to keep. And it took me a whole lot of times to learn how to do it on my own. Because the label, believe it or not, as big as it is, it's only a few things that they got to do to get your record out. And if you can figure that out, you can put your own shit out.
And a few: Stray Dog Off the Leash, The Technique Files, Gun Clapping featuring Cassius.
Trial and error. All of that stuff is like trial and error. Cassius was actually a good thing. I actually wanted to do that. It was
and then Jealousy,
a privilege.
MOP?
Jealousy was a chance for me to just speak up for my brothers, speak on his behalf, not even on his behalf, but on my behalf, as far as no matter what Corrupt goes through, I go through with it.
And John Silva's Frank and Jess Story, a super classic, high-powered entertainment, speak on this project. It goes hard.
This was, believe it or not, we made this record in 3 days. Me and Corrupt, we made this album in 3 days, about 48 hours, a little over 48 hours, so about 3 days. And majority of the album is freestyle. You know, we freestyle the entire album. And me, I love to do stuff with my brother. It's one thing to be able to, you know, go to a family reunion, you see your peoples and everything, but when you can actually, you know, go and hang out with your closest, you know, sibling, like not just a relative, like my sibling, you know, and we get paid to do it. You know, we spend 3 days together and make 40 grand every time. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we don't just kick it. We kick it and get paid, you know? Like the actual, let me look at this. Yeah, we did this entire record in 3 days. The rest was all just mixing and mastering, sending out for the features and everything. I think one of the records that best described me and Corrupt on this record, other than I Miss You and I Got You, you know, like the personal records, is Lap Dance. It just shows how we like to have fun.
Hell yeah.
And how we real serious about our fun. We like to have adult fun.
And Philfornia 2, the Philly Fanatics, speak on the Second Coming.
Oh, man. This one is like, it's not really a problem for me to speak about it. I don't like to speak about it because it was a mixtape.
All right.
And I put it out because there was another label that I'm not going to say the name that decided they was going to put out a Philfornia Part 2. And I don't know if they did a deal with somebody or not to get that done. But the record came out, and I just put that record out kind of to show people how I rather would have had the album done if there would have been a Philfornia 2. Also to give out the records that I felt like should have been on Philfornia 1. And just to boycott that record and be like, don't go buy it from somebody who I'm not going to see $1 from it. I don't even know how they got the ability to put it up. So I just put up the record for that. That's what Philfornia 2 was. It was a political thing, and it's done. It's over with. It doesn't even matter no more. Shit, man. I'd have been there and done that. That's my street story.
All right. And the influence from the mixtape hosted by DJ Who Kid. How did this go?
Hey, man, I bump into Who Kid at the club at Snoop Party, and I'm like, hey, man, you know, let's do my mixtape. He's like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? So I'm like, what? I'm all excited because, you know, I'm a big fan of Who Kid. And he was actually supposed to, the original mixtape was supposed to be hosted by Who Kid, the original Influence. And I felt like he worked hard on it for me. By the time he sent me the actual final mix, my business team had already launched the Influence. So he's like, wait, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I know, man, it's crazy. Let me try to fix it. With this online shit, it's different. Like, you could put out 100,000 CDs and recall them if the fuck you want to, but you can't recall. The internet is like a bullet. Once you put it out there, you can't call it back. You know what I mean? And I felt bad about that. That's why I came with the East Coast edition, which I felt like was the original way it should have came, because it was my East Coast flavor and my West Coast flavor put together. But my East Coast influence was more in how the actual mixtape was supposed to sound like a mixtape, not like an album. It came out sounding like an album because it went to press before I got a chance to let DJ Who Kid put the scratches and the drops and the mixes and the feet, like, you know what I'm saying? So I had to redo it so I could feel good with it. And then it was no way that I could get my team to actually launch it, relaunch it, because it don't make sense business-wise to relaunch the same project. So I added 4 bonus records to it. And I feel like Who Kid got his own demographic to where he deserves to at least get that opportunity to shine. So I smashed that together as a package deal with the Influence 2 Christmas trees, and we put those out on the same day as a joint thing.
And now the record, The Influence. Automatic classic right there for the new generation, featuring Exhibit, Too Short, Clyde Carson, California Dreamin', 3D Shades.
I'm proud of it.
And I Do That, and Cocaina featuring Eno.
Yeah, Eno. Shout out to Eno. I worked real hard on this project, man. I trip over this project like my own daughter. I take it very personal. I spent a lot of time, a lot of money, and I didn't care numbers-wise. I just cared about the project. And, you know, you got a kid, you could break yourself sending that kid to college. That's how I felt with this record. You know what I'm saying? I spent so much money. I'm talking about so much studio time, so many hours, so many phone calls, so many arguments. It was just like I put my blood, sweat, and tears into this record. And I just hope people like it. You know, it's up for sale and ain't going nowhere. It's going to be up for sale forever. And I got more stuff to come. You know, I had to get this out of my system. It's out of my system. It's here. It's Scoe, The Influence. I'm back putting albums out. And it took me a while to really figure out where I wanted to go as far as my imaging, as far as who I am, just period, because I'm not a gimmick. So I feel like my music has to be 75% of who I am and 25% of who I want to be, you know?
And you've been on a Japan tour and around the world, the largest crowd, best tour you've ever rocked.
Wow, Puff Puff Pass, because we had no rules, no nothing, and everybody was just young and crazy and couldn't wait to be together on the road, and we had a great time. It was great fun. There was a few kinks, but it was like normal stuff. It wasn't nothing crazy. It was just like, you know, regular tour stuff. But we had the greatest time. I mean, it was epic. It was unlike any other tour. You know, only tour I could probably say was better than that was Up in Smoke, and I didn't go on Up in Smoke. I actually only got to go to a couple shows. I got to drop my brother off at the tour bus though. That was bittersweet.
Largest crowd you've ever rocked?
Oh man, I can't tell. Oh, you know what? Shucks. Hempfest probably, like 250,000 people.
Incredible.
Somehow weed brings people together, man. Weed and music.
And your best hip-hop memory that you've been part of or contributed to?
Oh, man. Between working with Dr. Dre and chilling with Big Daddy Kane. Somewhere between there.
And you have anything to say to Canada?
Shit, where the weed at? Where the drugs at? Bitches at? Man, we want to have fun. You know what, Canada, honestly, I'm not taking that back, but if I could say something else too, go get the album, The Influence. It's a great album. Go get some Corrupt Moon Rocks, some good ass weed. Go get the Moon Rock mixtape that's out right now, the Corrupt Moon Rock mixtape, and you can put these two in and let this run. This is a good, hour or two of straight gangster shit, man. I'm talking about we come from the blood of fucking, you know, Dre and Easy and Pac and fucking Snoop and you know, even before that, my brother, he was talking about Schoolie D, like the roots, he said Schoolie D was the first gangster rapper. So, you know, people don't have we have the roots, it's in our blood, this is gangster shit, go get it, and don't listen to it until you get the corrupt moon rocks and smoke that shit, or do a dab. Dab with corrupt moon rocks, I've done it, and it's bomb.
Excellent. And what's next for Scoe?
Damn, I don't know yet. I got some ideas, a few things. I'm working on a movie right now. Actually producing, not acting. I'm actually trying to put together a movie right now. I don't want to talk about it, but I can let you know that I'm doing it. And that's something that requires me. It's a Philly-based movie, and it has a serious storyline behind it. I got my clothing line I'm working on. I got my company I just started. It's called 3D Shades. My group, Luxury Clique, that I'm working on right now. I'm talking to YA about getting back together and doing something with them, because not that we ever broke up, but just, you know, everybody been doing their thing. So we talking about getting together and putting that back together. I'm working with little Nate Dogg right now, Nate Dogg's son. Working on developing him, getting him ready to go.
Excellent.
And, you know, just my nephews, KG, TG, you know, they the Gotti boys. Kid Gotti, Tiny Gotti, Lil Keita Rock, Keith Black. Those are the things that I've been working on, you know. Trying to see if I'm leaving anything out. I'll be working on so much stuff. I think I got it all. The clothing line, I don't want to tell you the name. The movie, I don't want to tell you the name. And but yeah, the Luxury Clique, that's the group. And we just pumping this Moon Rock mixtape, man. The Scoe album, no, nothing else matter, man. Me and Corrupt is you know, we do so much separate stuff, separate touring, separate show. We don't get a chance to, you know, come together like how we are right now. And this is like probably one of the best times. You asked me earlier, the best tour. I had to say comparable to Puff Puff Pass is probably this one right here. With all the ups and downs, the Moon Rock tour. Because we had the best weed, we got the best show. We ain't been around nothing but the best bitches and the best everything. We had the best treatment. Canada showed us love. Tacoma showed us love. Chris Brown and fucking and Schoolboy Q and all of them, they showed us love and took care of us. The whole Corrupt camp, Tiger, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, we've been enjoying ourselves, man. Shout out to Rich for that Tacoma thing, man. You know, he's the promoter that put it together.
Hell yeah.
And just, yeah, man, we just, you know, we working.
And you got any shouts?
Shouts. Shout out to my sister, my nieces, my nephew. Shout out to 3D Shades Entertainment. Shout out to Pentagon Records. Shout out to my big brother Corrupt. Shout out to the whole Dog Pound. Rest in peace to my mama and my aunties and my sister and my brother. And shout out to Patron for giving us all that free shit. Boulevard Clothing, Growing Gardens, Dr. Zodiac Threading. Shout out to Amsterdam. Shout out to the whole Van City. Shout out to shit. I can keep going and going. Shout out to everybody, man. Shout out to everybody that goes and gets these 2 fucking CDs.
And shouts to Scoe and Nick Bean and Ty.
Yeah, definitely shout out to Nick Bean, man. He's part of the Pentagon. When I said Pentagon, that covers him. When you know what I mean? Like, yeah, but special shout out now, Nick Bean. Nicky, you. Thank you. You know, he hooked up a lot of the shit we got going on out here. Yeah, man, shout out to Nick Bean. You the man for even plugging us out here in Van. You know, like, we out here, you know, doing our thing. And a lot of what we doing is thanks to you, so I appreciate you, brother. And you's a good-ass DJ, too. We need to put some shit out.
Hell yeah. And this is The Archivist, and you've been archived.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. I'm archived, nigga. Now archive these nuts. Check them out.